Here's something else that I'll say about Trench that I did not mention before, which you might find interesting.
Yeah?
His actor is Max Payne.
Hmm.
Sam Lake was the face in Max Payne 1, but like the actual actor and model for him, that's Payne.
Oh, there's more files here.
I also think I didn't mention it in the video when we did it, but the Alex Casey novel that you read in Alan's apartment is also read by Max Payne's voice actor.
Hmm.
Which I can't fucking believe that I forgot that. In my mind, Max Payne is just Sam Lake doing the face and the Hawaiian shirt underneath the trench coat.
It's happening. After all these
always
years,
forget.
Dylan is here.
I remember the name of Alan's
too
voice
late?
actor and his model
How is
being
he?
two different people, but I don't ever remember
I need to know.
who Max is.
He's clearly been affected by the hiss, but it's different than any other manifestation we've recorded. Maybe what makes you so special is genetic. He was a prime candidate. Or maybe it's Polaris protecting him, something else affecting the situation. I need to run tests. He seems more in control, more present.
I want to see him.
My brother. Or is he?
Of course. Now, Marshall set up an HRA-warded cage to contain him. It's on the upper floor, up the stairs.
Okay, I need to go.
Jesse, be careful.
This ought to be good.
I like the way that the camera shifts out when it literally name drops Control. So, here's the thing, right? Most of the time I think about either games or movies or books or whatever being incredibly on the nose with their theme and their point, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's annoying. Please move on.
If they're in there, we go around.
Remedy does it in such a way that I really like, because they do it so on the nose, but they do it in such a way that it's like, hey, I don't care. I don't care that this is on the nose. We've got something to say and we're gonna say it, even if it's the most basic thing ever. Even if it's like the idea of
I found this
writer
token.
versus
Any idea what it does?
or artist versus art, writer
it's
versus
jukebox
editor,
token. Little
or hey,
bastards
we
turn
want to
up
make
in the
film
weirdest
noir,
places.
or
Bad
hey,
pennies.
what is
Rangers
control
use
as a
it to activate an
concept?
old object of
They
power.
just go for it and they pick up the ball
jukebox,
and they
I
fucking
assume.
run across the court both ways.
Does it have any good songs?
Nope, just the one record.
But they do
Be
it
careful
so
turning
like
it on though.
I
When it's
guess
playing,
the thing that
you
I'm
gotta
saying
flip to
is
formation.
the quality of how self-aware
That
the
sounds
rest of their
ominous.
Why
storytelling
does it
is.
send you there?
The Bureau has been
It
wondering
makes
that
me
for
it gives you
years.
the impression that they
I mean,
know exactly
it's
what
just
they're
a pile
doing
of rocks built by God knows
and
who.
that they don't care that they're not subtle.
Well, researchers have confirmed it's
And
in
I
the same
appreciate
threshold as the
that.
quarry. Well, no one's ever been able to map a physical route to
Because
the formation
there's the
from it.
there's the big
So
difference
it's in the
between
quarry.
being subtle
You just don't know where.
and thinking
much.
that you're
We only
clever
send in
about
annual
it
expeditions to the formation.
and
Checkups,
hitting
some
the
protocols.
point with all of the
This
might
year's
of
team went in the day
Sledgehammer
this arrived.
and being like, yeah, well, of it. I wrote
Think of
this
it.
on a
The
napkin.
song should have run back hours ago.
I can go in and take a look.
I'd appreciate that. The jukebox is kept just past the security booth. over
Subtlety is not
there. Give it a
always
token and enjoy the ride.
it's not always the way to go, I guess is what I'm saying.
I have to go.
Me too. You're not the only one who's busy, you know. Stop by any time.
Well, you're gonna have to go grab your brother. This is the moment where you stand up to the reality shifting beast that he's become, and you stare him down and say that it is in fact my turn to use the Xbox.
Yeah, that's right. But before I do that, I want to go do this side quest.
Just gotta pad out that runtime, huh?
Oh, I might actually not be able to do that side quest. That's a big blacked out area I can't go to yet.
Oh no!
So I guess we're not doing that. I do want to know what these jukebox tokens are about, though.
If you collect enough of them, you get to go to a Foreigner concert.
Oh, I need to go help that guy, though. The guy with the fridge. Can't just leave him hanging like that.
Yeah, go help that fridge man. I can't imagine like a scarier scenario than that.
That's okay.
Is he-
You just blink. You just wink with one eye at a time, and you're good. It sucks.
That is literally what I've done sometimes when I'm like having to pull all-nighters. Is at some point it's like my eyes are so dry, I'm so tired, but I can't close both at the same time because if I do, I might pass out. I'm gonna go ahead and say the fact that I have to do that is maybe college sucks sometimes.
You're back. Oh, thank you. If I look away,
Has college ever been in the history of post-secondary education?
That's Langston.
Has it ever been something that people have looked at and been like, "Oh yeah, I've totally got healthy study habits"?
Please hurry. My eyes.
I feel like in the history of universities,
They can't.
Hey,
in the history of
calm down.
secondary
Just
education,
focus.
I've never once heard
What's
a
your
story of
name?
like, "Oh yeah, no, college was a great experience.
Right.
I got tons of sleep,
Philip.
met great people."
I think I can hold on for a bit.
Really, it was a life-changing experience. Usually what you hear is, "Man, that thing was like academic
hang on,
boot camp.
Philip.
I nearly died for 4 years in a row, but at least I got this piece of paper."
Yep. I need to take a quick break. Do you want me to put us on BRB?
Yeah, go for it. I'll make myself some tea.
All right, and we're back.
Welcome back, us.
Welcome back, us, and welcome back you to us. It's fucked up.
Hopefully for you, it'll only have been a couple of seconds. Otherwise, that means I made a big mistake. But welcome back anyway. It's good to see you. You look great today, let me tell you.
What's up? I thought it was dangerous, but no. Why listen to Langston? I'm just a pen-up.
There's someone named Philip up in a cell. He's watching a refrigerator and very rapidly losing it.
And the actor, by the way, I was trying to remember what his name was
I forgot
before.
about Fridge.
The
He's been in there for over a day. I totally forgot.
the guy who plays Trench
You
and Max
forgot
Payne.
about him?
There's a
His name
lot
is
going
James
on.
McCaffrey.
The Hiss, the Benikoff TV. Considering the number of things I'm juggling, ma'am, I think it's...
You know
Listen,
who
it's
else he was
fine.
the voice
We
of?
just need to get him out of there. He said you'd be able to open the cell
Thomas
door.
Zane.
Yeah, I can unlock it on my terminal.
And I think that's pretty
There.
neat, actually.
Done. Door open. But Philip can't just leave. The fridge is behaving erratically. Ocular contact is the only thing that seems to placate it. If we don't have someone in there watching it 24/7, people will die.
I'll figure something out. I'm pretty good with these things.
Being pretty good with altered items isn't standard bureau procedure, ma'am.
He doesn't know us very well.
I'll see you later, Langston.
I'll be here, like always.
Something I want to say about this game is something about the eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but something. They seem... I don't know.
They went a little too hard on the eyes. I think in the case of this guy here,
Hello?
it's specifically that his
I'm back.
eyes kind of
I'm
bulge
coming in.
out.
They're kind
But-
of glassy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. They bulge out in a way where the rest of his eyes, like his eyelids and the skin around his eyes, doesn't shift properly,
Fridge is doing something.
and it's offset.
Philip?
in general, the characters in this game look fucking awesome
If I
until
look
they start
away,
talking.
It hurts me.
Jessie has a little something going on with her jaw. And I think Emily had a little something going on with, like, the edges of her mouth, like around her cheeks. It's always a little something.
This sounds like the board, but I can't understand it. Fuck?
Okay.
Welcome to Former. You like video games? Because you're gonna like this if you like video games. So, as far as the entities and the objects and everything that we've seen so far, this one is by far the largest. It is clearly the largest, like, period, at least that we know of. There are a lot of theories as to what this thing is, and there's some support for it in the game. Like, definitive answer is obviously not necessarily Control's bag. One of the particularly interesting things is the one that I personally like to imagine, is that there is some documentation in the game that leads to the assumption that this guy may or may not have been part of the board at one point and is no longer. So, like, clearly, whatever is going on with them, this is more like more textual than straight up than. God, what the fuck am I trying to say? It's not always clear that what we're dealing with is big, dumb, blobby alien. This one is clearly a big alien. This thing could have been part of that. In fact, it kind of reminds me of Vortigaunt.
A little bit.
This is the most monstrous that we've seen so far, which is just super interesting to me. Because most of it has been like abstract
no Black
concept
Pyramid here.
fight. And then here comes this one, and it's like it's a big fucking praying mantis.
With a big, dumb eyeball.
The fridge seems fixed.
It's a big video game weak spot.
Did fighting that thing off change something?
Poor Philip.
He died as he lived,
Staring at a refrigerator.
staring at a refrigerator.
He pizzaed when he should have French fried.
This might just be me, but the drawing in there on the top left, is that a drawing of the monster on the inside of the fridge?
Now see, that's
Is it a
why I
drawing
was
of
looking
Fortnite?
closer. Because I thought maybe it was something like that. And I mean, like, it's got the wrong number of eyes, but that doesn't change anything.
No, not if a kid
Because
drew
you've got like the kid who's happy and the parents who are sad. And these are actually kind of dark.
it. Yes. Yes, they are. Lemon yellow sun, arms raised in a V. Going from one dark thing to another, I guess.
Yep.
So many cell breaches.
Is Jeremy the darkest
How'd it go?
Pearl Jam
Where's
song?
Philip?
Philip's gone.
Probably not, but it's
Something
the one that
happened
I
before I
think
could
of
get him out.
first.
Poor Philip.
Poor
He
Philip.
never did like fridge duty. But if you're here, then
Wait.
who's watching the fridge?
It went bad.
The fridge
How'd
is
it go? It
fine
went
now.
bad.
I took care of it.
You don't just take care of altered items. What did you do?
I touched it and wound up in the astral plane. This thing was in there. It was huge, had one big eye. Wasn't friendly.
We've been getting
Especially
reports from
without
the
audio,
astronauts
just
lately
watching
about
this guy's
something
eyes
fitting that
move, I'm like,
description.
what
the
is
astral
it?
plane is usually
What's
connected
going
to
on
our
here?
world through objects of power, not altered items. If this thing is linking itself to altered items, then it's clearly powerful. This may happen again.
Do you think that thing is what got Philip?
The blinking is off.
Must have been. The Panopticon is a dangerous place. The agents
It's
all
like
know
at
the
a
risks.
lower, I don't know if it's at a,
But
like a
since
skipped
you're some
frame
sort
in
of
the
altered
animation or
item
something.
whisperer, I've got a list
It's
of
not a
agents
complete
with
blink.
morale.
It's not a complete blink.
The hiss are causing
It
containment
happens-
breaches left, right, and center.
Yeah, in a cutoff
Start with
way.
these,
The
and see if there are
eyes
any others
seem to
missing
be
while we're
animated separately from the head.
gone. My life just got a whole lot easier.
You know what it is?
Hmm.
I think it's a procedural thing,
see you later,
like the
Lance.
way that Fallout
be
characters
here.
do it,
Maybe.
where like their head moves up and down and their mouth is moving according to the text, but their eyes are just flipping back and forth to give the impression that they're always moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like animated. It's not animated.
It's not
I think
deliberate.
it's automated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is like totally automated with the eyes.
It's not animated, it's automated.
They gave it like 3 or 4 cycles for like the entire system. And I understand why you would do. Mass Effect does a similar thing. Mass Effect does it, and the thing about Mass Effect is that you spend so long talking to those characters that, especially over the course of multiple games, you really start to see it. But also Mass Effect does the thing where like multiple games have their multiple games will have like the same recycled animations between, like there's stuff in Jade Empire that was later used in KOTOR that was later used in Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've seen it once, you see it every single time.
A long lineage of janky-ass animations.
And it's charming, like it's really charming, and I'm always happy when I see it, but I also look at it and I'm like man,
Bad. It's bad in a good way.
it is bad in a good way. It was very good in a good way once. Like at the time that it was made initially, yeah, it was totally impressive. Those games looked incredible. I still think Mass Effect looks great, just because of the strength of its art. It works really, really well. But yeah, every time that there's like a repeated animation, it's like, man, how many times have I seen you do this like arm cross, like shift your upper body back and look at me with your head cocked animation? I have seen this in like 6 games.
Japanese paper lantern, traffic light, hand chair, and moving letters.
I guess we get to it then. There are a couple documents that I'm really waiting for you to come across, because there's some really wacky fun stuff in this game. And I have to keep doubling back and being like, oh, is this the thing? Is this the thing? Oh no, I can't talk about this thing yet.
Maybe I should be reading the documents then. I've been kind of glossing over them because it's been taking up too much game time.
We can do a catch-up if you want at some point. There's one thing in particular, well, not just documents. some of the later documents are really, really important to find out. But a lot of the really important ones are towards the very end of the game, also. And some of the things that I can't wait to talk about are Easter eggs, things that you can find on the map. And if we do end up missing them, we'll talk about it. I wish there was more to say about this, but there's not really a whole lot to say about Langston's Runaways.
There'll probably be more to say once I actually start to find them.
Yeah. I guess... If I had to piggyback off of something that we were talking about earlier...
Yeah?
I like that none of the weapons in this game are not... Like, they're all viable in their own way. Specific upgrades are definitely used to counter specific types of enemies. But insofar as, like, you only have one weapon, I think they do a good job of giving you, like, the standard video game loadout of sniper, shotgun, assault rifle, pistol, and rocket launcher, and it's all just the one gun.
And they all have cool designs. And there's the final esoteric super weapon that I haven't gotten yet, but I know is in the game.
The service weapon as a concept is really neat.
I really like it.
I really like it. I don't like it as much as I like the flashlight, which says a lot about me, but it's like a real close second. I vastly prefer Control's method of the service weapon to, like, Max Payne's a bunch of real guns, but something about just pointing a flashlight and a hunting rifle at a Taken is really something to me.
Now, I don't want to get too much into, like, viability, this game being what it is, but I would certainly believe... Like, I'm not sure how to put this. The service weapon is... I am really trying to not say believable.
Okay. Well, I mean, whatever you believe, especially in the context of this game, is entirely subjective.
It's also entirely what is true. If you believe it, it's true.
All myths are true. I would believe damn near anything in the context of Control. So you're not trying to say believe. Wait, give me the gist of what you're talking about.
I'm trying to say, like, so this game follows its own set of rules, right?
Yeah.
One of the rules in this set is not a normal person can carry a small armory around.
In terms of like
like your Doom guy and your Gordon Freeman and your Max Payne just carrying around like 18 different guns. That's not a thing in this.
You don't have meat space.
Right. You don't have hammer space. But what you do have is this magic shape-shifting gun.
It makes sense that Jesse would have this, so it might as well be everything that it can. It doesn't break its own rules. I see what you're saying. It gives you the full-on arsenal of your particular, like, flavor of choice of shooter game,
while maintaining it in a believable space.
Yeah. Okay. Because the thing that I always one of the things that I dislike about Max Payne is whenever you're scrolling through the weapons that you actually have on hand, and you've got just like 5 or 6 PNGs, or not, it would be JPEGs at the time, but you've got 5 or 6 different silhouettes of guns that you're scrolling through, and you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. He's got like a long coat, but you can't fit 2 Uzis and a shotgun and all this in there, and also it's annoying to have to switch between them. I definitely prefer when a character has like their signature weapon that can shift like moment to moment. I vastly prefer that Cloud carries around the Buster Sword, as opposed to, man, wouldn't it be so cool if Cloud carried around like 20 swords? What if he was just cool, like, okay, like a better example might be Link.
You're just describing Noctis at that point, though.
And I think Noctis is kind of lame.
Go figure.
Because Noctis would be way cooler if he just had the one sword that was his and he used it, instead of having like the wispy, maybe they are, maybe they're not, their magic Virgil swords that are not connected to him and just look weird.
And they just kind of phase in and out at random because they don't want to have to compromise the character designs by drawing big swords on them.
Yeah, like to me, Noctis might as well not actually have any sword. Like,
I prefer for these things to remain tangible.
I prefer for it to be... This is really a specific thing for me, but it goes back to like watching Humphrey Bogart shoot a bunch of dudes in an old noir flick, right?
Right.
And he's got his revolver, or Spike Spiegel has his gun, and he always has the same pistol, the Jericho, I think his is.
Yeah.
And it's like, when a character has a specific weapon that is given to them as part of their design, I really, really dig that, especially if it's like a small and not overbearing thing. Unless you're doing the Cloud Strife thing, where the Buster Sword is like bigger than you. I think that's goofy, and I still like that, but it's clearly a part of his design. Like the SOCOM is forever part of Solid Snake because of MGS1.
Right.
Even in the games where Solid Snake doesn't have a SOCOM, whenever you think about a SOCOM or a FAMAS, you think about MGS1 and you think about Solid Snake. I vastly prefer that over, well, let's just give you the ability to have 14 guns for gameplay reasons. And I'm like, okay, I understand why you would do that for gameplay, but because they're not part of the central character design, and because they're not tangibly always there on their person, it makes me feel like they're not there at all. I guess what it comes down to is I prefer for the weapon to feel like part of the character and part of the fiction, as opposed to video game items that they put that you can pick up in the map.
Yeah, I get that.
But then also I'm biased because for me, like, character design is king and queen and rook and pawn and all the way down. Like, character design is everything to me. I will like your game substantially more if you have a neat character that you play as. Unless you do like a Mass Effect thing and you play as a nobody, in which case having everybody else be an incredible character is enough. But also, Mass Effect does the thing that I like where they draw in the weapon that you're currently using in all of the cutscenes. Well, not in all of them. There are a lot of interrupts where you're like, they give you the baked-in model of the one pistol or the one assault rifle, no matter what you have.
I'm never a fan of that.
No, that's always bad, but that's always like, you know why they had to do it, especially with RPGs. But for the most part, when you're like wandering around the Citadel and you're talking to people, Shepard has, and your squad mates have on their hips and on their backs whatever it was that you gave them in their loadout, which has the effect of like, no matter what your play style is, you always have your signature gun.
And it's reflected. your
Yes.
decisions are reflected even in that subtle way.
And that's me. I always like it. I always like and appreciate that.
You fucks done? I think they're done.
I mean, you're doing it.
They're not. I think that was just a corpse, like, zooping out.
If you had to pick your favorite, what is your favorite, like weapon that's specific to a character design?
I have an answer to this. I would have to think about it. But I do have an answer.
I might be with you. I think if I had to choose, I might go between Alan's flashlight and revolver, and probably the Buster Sword. I know it's probably a cliche answer, but like Cloud with the Buster Sword is just video games to me.
It's iconic.
It is more than iconic. Like, Cloud's Buster Sword might as well be Mario's hat. And I like Cloud's Buster Sword more than I like Mario, so...
I thought you were gonna say I like Cloud's Buster Sword more than I like Cloud.
That's not true, actually. I like Cloud a lot. But I had to think about it.
You had to stop and think about it.
Because I like them both a lot.
Maybe there's something in here.
Hmm?
No, there wouldn't be anything in here because this is its own area. Yeah, there ain't shit in here.
What if I told you that Miles Morales contains a cat that you can befriend?
I would say that that's
of
a
the main
weird
story.
thing for him to have inside him, and that probably shouldn't be there.
What, like he ate it and subsumed it?
Yeah,
Not
quite.
not content with merely being Spider-Man, he must also be a Catman. But Miles Morales is young and hip. And he's aware of the modern age. He saw that like cat boys were having a resurgence on Twitch and on Twitter, and he's like, what if I did a cat boy thing? And then looked over his shoulder and saw a cat out of the corner of his eye and just did a little and grabbed it. Is that what is that the narrative that you're telling me has happened?
I mean,
he just
you
ate a
invented a
cat?
lot of that.
No, I didn't.
You sure
This
did.
is a transcript that you sent me.
Well, then why are you
You-
stealing my idea? Fucking pay me.
What are you, the DMCA?
Yes, it was me all along.
Damn it. Damn you, DMCA. I really can't wait to get to the part of this game that is like the Children of the Elder Gods scene part 2. Because it's so much more integral in this game than it was in Alan Wake. And it's to the point that I kind of think you have to play it with the music. It's like, it's got stylings of some of the stuff that Revengeance was doing.
That's a strong pitch.
And it's like they went to all of the trouble to give you a button that says turn off the copyrighted music if you want to Twitch, if you want to Let's Play it or stream it. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, but you
It's
made such a-
important, though.
You made it so important to the game. It's like you can't play Max Payne 2 without Late Goodbye. I mean, you could, but it would be a worse game. It absolutely impacts control. I would say the song in this game impacts this game more than the song in Alan Wake. But also, at least Control is like doesn't do the thing where every chapter ends with a copyrighted song that I have to mute.
Yeah, that's not ideal. What's also not ideal is me, like, jumping down into some kind of stage hazard and knocking off most of my health, and then a bunch of enemies spawn and kill me.
All I see is that sign up front that says archives, and I thought it said anchovies, and I'm going a little crazy. Just like maximum security wing, wall-to-wall
Maximum
cells,
security anchovies.
just filled with anchovy boxes. Nobody wanted them on their pizza. They all had to go somewhere. Called in the FBC to take care of the problem.
Take care of these anchovies.
That's what the sequel is all about. Like, the FBC just reformats itself into a massive, like, conglomerate for making pizza.
But the only thing is that they seal off all the anchovies. And if you ask for anchovies, they're like, no.
It's like Schrodinger's pizza. Like, they hand you the box, and you can't promise, they make you promise not to open it, at least until they're out of the building. Because if you open the box, there's no telling what object of power might be inside there. It might be a pizza, or it might be a giant rubber duck that just fucking goes for it.
It's an object of pizza, OOP.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Darling had in mind. Containment procedure for these custom-made pizzas. It's really getting out of hand.
You contain it in your stomach.
Vlogs, he's just like rocking back and forth in his boxers in that one scene, and he's just talking about like peppers, anchovies, cheese, peppers, anchovies, cheese. Oh shit, that dude got impaled. I know I'm behind, but wow.
Yeah, he got it rough.
That's maybe one of the coolest ways to go out in fiction.
In fiction.
In fiction. In reality, I feel like people rarely get impaled. At least
It happens,
not in a cool
though.
way. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, in that episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when the fucking stairway collapsed and the dude fell on like an open bit of rebar and had to be hospitalized, that was not only rough, it lasted a long time. Or that other episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they had the giant, like, old as dirt vampire who couldn't be killed by regular stakes, so they had to break down a load-bearing support beam and impale him through the chest with it.
That's pretty good.
Buffy's great. Buffy is great. Also, I am not a fan of Max Payne 3 for a variety of reasons, but I will say they do have a Buffy Easter egg, and I've always appreciated that. Because I don't see those very often in games. Certainly not like AAA games. There was one in San Andreas, which was always really weird to me. There's a point in the map where you can literally just find like one of the sets in that game. And I mean, you know, it's rendered the way it is for a PS2 game, but it's there. You're still having trouble finding all these things, huh?
It's okay, though.
It's okay, you say.
I do say it's okay. You'll see why in a second.
Did you find all 4 of them?
I found something better than all 4 of them.
Ooh,
At the same
I
time.
see. These are great. These are the best and the worst.
TV! Let's watch Junkies in Space! It's not safe. But Star Captain Eagle! Can I poke it with a stick? Oh,
god, I love these so much.
Bureau rule number 74.
They're just
Always be
terrifying.
suspicious of things that weren't there before. What? Looks safe to me. Dockers in space! Wait! It's not even plugged in!
Hey, welcome in, Bad Cat. We're just watching horrifying puppet shows.
That's the real reason why we boot up this game every session.
Honestly, if I could boot up Control and just watch puppet shows the entire time instead of playing the game, I would do it. Because you know what? It would run.
It would run.
I think that's the thing that we're ultimately missing here. Is just a game to come out on Steam and it's basically just Candle Cove.
Also, we got one of those freaky brain things here that, like, is horrible.
Get that shit out of this channel. There is no room for brain having on this stream.
Well, that's what these guys are for. They delete your brain.
Been talking about inane nonsense for 2 hours and 15 minutes to come in now. Oh no. I sound rough, am I okay? I'm okay, I've just been talking for almost 3 hours. I'm okay. Technically, I have a cup of tea here, but I guess I haven't been drinking enough of it.
I have an open bottle of water, which is not my beverage of choice.
I thought you were gonna say that you had an open bottle of wine, and I was like, why? Could I have some? I would love some wine right about now. Oh my god.
I am not supposed to
Bix.
drink for medical reasons, and you have no idea, living the life that I do, how many times I've thought of just getting sauced in spite of it. Because fuck it.
As somebody who, as of this last year, for medical reasons, can no longer get drunk, I miss wine and I miss vodka so much. I miss Halloween because Halloween to me is the time to party and to have that happen. And it's been so long. And it's like, with each passing day in the year, or with each passing month, I guess, more and more stuff gets added to that list of like, oh, you can't eat wheat, oh, you can't have milk, or you can't have alcohol. Well, okay, well, what am I supposed to have then? What joy can I glean from life? I can no longer have my chocolate-dipped entire bottles of alcohol.
That's right.
Like wine that comes in a specifically, like in a bottle that's molded chocolate. But it's frozen like one of those ice sculptures to the point that it can't melt until it's been out for like 2 hours.
So what you're saying is it is frozen advancedly. Advanced frozen.
That's correct. I don't know what I'm talking about. I promise I'm not drunk. I wish I knew what I was talking about, because this either sounds like something that would be the worst garbage ever to try to drink, or it would make you so much money and be delicious. I mean, it could be both of those things and still make you money.
Yeah, no reason why not, I says.
Just because something is terrible doesn't mean it can't be popular. In fact,
In
as
fact.
it turns out. Right? No. What you really need to do... First of all, what you need to do is you need to get me away from this microphone before I start saying things that I can't take back.
Before you start saying things that... Oh, God.
Before I start saying things that get us taken down by the RIAA. Too
Yeah,
late.
the RIAA will take us down.
That's right.
Because I don't know where to go with that.
I know where to go with that, and where I go with that is my editing timeline for all of those things that I have to mute and dub over. Because
That
the
must be one of
record
Miss
industry
Williams.
is terrible. I mean, it's
Okay.
always been bad, but it's still...
This seems
Worse.
incredibly dangerous.
It does seem incredibly dangerous. You should go touch it. You should launch over it. You ever play Red Light, Green Light?
How did I get back here?
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
That's the first thing that I would assume when I see this.
Deal?
Yep, it's Red Light, Green Light.
And it's very strict.
As Red Light,
is
Green
it
Light ought to
doing
be.
that?
Just be happy that this isn't also like the RE4 laser hallway sequence.
Yeah. I mean, I went into it, and that's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you walk down the hallway, and I saw the board around the edges, and it reminded me of the infrared rays in MGS1, and I'm like, oh man, I am not looking forward to doing that part.
Okay, now I understand.
Figure it out.
There is one... What is the yellow light signify? Because I'm still like 20 seconds behind you.
It signifies that it is about to turn red.
So you're still free to move in yellow.
Yep.
Okay. I keep, like, trying to apply, like, the light rays to the puzzles in these games, where I was like, maybe yellow means you can't get caught where the light shaft is, and maybe green is you can get caught wherever, and red is you have to stop. And I'm like, no, yellow just means almost.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it too, is like, oh, don't get caught in the red.
Don't get caught in the red, also probably don't move during the yellow? Like, I don't know. Meanwhile, on my right side, I've just got Twitter open, and it's a mistake.
It's always a
It's-
mistake.
It's necessary for some of the stuff that we have to do, but it's also just a massive mistake to have this open. Yeah, Bad Cat says that the hallway here looks like the James Bond intro, like the camera aperture.
Yeah, I
It's a
guess
escape
so.
altered item to worry about.
Oh man, I wish that there was a good way to like fully emulate Nightfire, because Nightfire is a really good game. Hey, you did it though. Good job.
I did do it.
Did so the last James Bond movie that came out was Spectre? Did the next one come out just yet?
You are asking the
remember-
wrong guy.
I'm sorry. I'm way into I'm way Skyfall, and I felt like I was gonna be way into Spectre and never got a chance to see it. I really wanted to. I knew that they were making a new one. I don't know if Spectre actually came out. I thought it did. Skyfall was probably still one of. You know how there are movies that you see that are specifically big screen, like blockbuster type movies?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, they're not even necessarily good, but
But the
Just
pomp and
being-
circumstance is all there.
the pomp and circumstance, the big bucket of popcorn, and like the loud sound system makes it all worth it. Skyfall was one of the best experiences of that kind I've had, and it was also a good movie. I gotta say though, and you know, I'm only gonna say this because I've had Miles Morales on my mind so much as a game for like a month now, but watching Into the Spider-Verse on like a massive screen in a proper stadium was probably one of the best film going experiences I've had. And you know me, I've seen a lot of movies. I'm one of the few people in my day-to-day life that I know of that like actively enjoys going to the theater and doing the old style thing.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Verse is excellent. Probably the best movie to come out of that year. Also, new James Bond plan for 2021, No Time to Die. Yes, thank you. That is the one that I was thinking of. I was the one that they were talking for so long about getting Idris Elba to join in, and I really wanted Idris Elba to be the new James Bond, which unfortunately does not seem to have happened. And you know, Daniel Craig, still a great Bond. Daniel Craig might be my favorite Bond. Might be. At least I think I enjoy those movies the most. Quantum of Solace is a little rough in some places, but Skyfall and Casino Royale are both great movies. Fuck me, man. Now I have to go out and see Spectre. See, this is what happens. Like, I get it into my head that I'm gonna go see a movie that hasn't come out yet, and then it's been like 3 years.
Yep. Alright, now I get another crack at this one where I died earlier.
Now, which one would that be? I joke, you're doing really well. You're doing better than I think I did this time. At least you've learned how to use the dodge mechanic. And instead of me with Alan Wake and just tanking all of the hits and being like, yeah, I can probably do this. Why would I activate
And that's
dodge?
such a strange thing. That's such a strange thing to hear coming from you, known fan of dodge mechanics.
I am a big fan of dodge mechanics, but also I'm a really big fan of the way that firearms and I'm like, yeah, but why would I dodge if I could spend the time that I would have spent dodging firing off 3 more projectiles? What if I just did that?
And again, a very strange thing to hear coming from you.
Listen, I can't explain why I am the way that I am. You just have to accept it as part of its being.
Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Shit.
Malik and Jeffrey Wright are returning. Good stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen Spectre. I know that it was divisive, which is usually a pretty good thing. Usually when people say that they either love or hate a movie, that typically means that it's a good movie. In my experience, anyway. More often than not. So far, all of the Daniel Craig Bond movies have been great. And I would be very excited to see another one. Yeah, no, the James Bond movies in IMAX. That's how I saw Skyfall, and it was excellent.
You want to know how I saw Skyfall?
How did you see Skyfall?
On a tiny-ass TV in a hospital bed.
But it was pretty good, right?
It was pretty good.
And that tells you everything you need to know. I watched this movie in the worst way possible.
And it was still pretty good.
Man.
That's no normal piece of
That
paper.
part where he falls through the ice and it's got the lighting going on, and it's so good. That part where he's like grabbing onto the bottom of the elevator, he's like, "You can't hold on, James Bond, you're too old," and he does it. That part where that dude gets eaten by that Komodo dragon? Come on!
Okay, we need to know where.
What a great film. It's such a good movie, Bad Cat. You should watch it. If it's on, I don't know, it was on Netflix at one point. If it's still on Netflix, you should watch it. And here I am, with my dumb self.
We need to find the other pages.
Like looking at the seasons 1 through 3 of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I'm like, you know what? I could go for watching this again. They're very similar properties is the thing, James Bond and The Fresh Prince.
8 inches wide and capable of storing a whopping
Think
80
about
kilobytes.
They both have
Stolen by our friends at the
protagonists,
CIA, the disc held
they
the
both
launch
have
codes to
wealthy
Soviet
people, and they both have great music. Oh, hey, Dr. Darling.
Yeah, we've already seen that one, unfortunately.
Okay, we need to know.
I miss the novelty of floppy disks being actually floppy. They were a pain in the ass to use. Like, I don't miss actually using them. But how hype would you be if you got, like, a disc or a cartridge even for, like, an Xbox or a PlayStation, and you could just wiggle it around like a floppy disk?
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
But you know
last
what?
time-
At least they
Yeah.
brought cartridges back for the Switch.
Yes, I was very, very happy when that... I was just about to say, like, I think back to the times where, like, physical media has made me actually excited for a project, or product. And the first one was when the Wii came out, and the discs were so small, and I was like, dude, this is incredible.
Do
Or the
you,
way that,
are
like,
you referring to the GameCube?
Sorry, yeah, the GameCube discs in the Wii tray is what I mean. Because you would get the Wii discs and they would be regular size, but then you would put in like Twilight Princess and it would be so small and you would be like, how can so much game fit on this disc? And then it happened again with cartridges. Breath of the Wild and like the weird film that they put on top of it to make it bad for kids if they ever tried to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody went around licking their cartridges, including me, because I had to know. And I'm happy that I still remember how it tastes to this day.
Yeah, how does it taste?
Tastes bad.
No shit.
Tastes like chemicals.
No shit.
No longer on Netflix. It's on Prime for £5 or $7. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. I mean, that's not unreasonable, but at the same time, I always look at that and I'm like, well, that's not me watching a movie for cheap. That's me spending this amount of money to watch a movie. Which is why I end up not getting games until they're 4 years old and on sale for $10. This nightmare world that I've created for myself.
How could you do this?
I do it because I want to, and I'm going to keep doing it. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm on Amazon, and I just looked at this pullover sweatshirt, and I thought, oh, that's a pretty cheap-looking sweatshirt. You could probably put that on, and it would be cheap to buy and produce. You want to take a stab at how much this sweatshirt costs?
$500.
$54.60 plus free shipping. So it might as well be $500 because I'm not going to spend that much money on a shirt. should just be thankful that I'm no longer reading the anime.
That you're no longer reading the Shadow the Hedgehog, Naruto, Alan Wake fanfiction.
Yeah, that's right. Don't forget the Mass Effect one. There was the Mass Effect crossover one too.
There was the Mass Effect crossover one.
Barbara Jagger chuckled. You mean the Chaos Emeralds? Yeah, game bundles are a great choice, Bad Cat. Getting like a ton of games for $20 because some publishers are like, well, we're not going to sell these old games, so we might as well get them dirt cheap. And I'm like, I will absolutely buy your entire catalog for $20.
That's always fun.
I like those. Like, even that prompts me to get games that I otherwise normally wouldn't. Like, I own a bunch of Half-Life games that I'm probably never going to play, specifically because I wanted the assets in Gmod.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was not, you know, that I wasn't a big into like Counter-Strike, but you needed those to be able to do the kind of mod stuff that we were doing.
It's true.
Here's a Junji Ito coffee mug, and I look at this and I'm like, while I appreciate this, I don't want to look at this while I'm trying to consume things.
Now that just sounds like quitter talk to me.
Well, okay, how about this giant Shenron stainless steel tumbler mug? How about that?
That's pretty good.
It looks like it's blue on the outside and orange on the inside. This is neat. It's very cheap, but it's neat. I have a bento box with Goku on it, and despite the fact that I am a grown-ass adult doing adult things like streaming live on Twitch.
Yeah, adult things.
Adult things. I absolutely take my Goku bento box with me whenever I need to go and, like, do work. Like, real-ass work. Because what?
You gonna fucking stop me?
You gonna tell me that Goku isn't welcome here? You're not welcome here. It's not stupid. You're stupid. Oh, Billy. Why you gotta be like that? You got 11 games and all the DLC, one of which is a AAA title for $50. That's, yeah. That is a good, that is a proper price for that. Among my myriad opinions that most people would probably call bad, myself included, I look at a AAA game and I'm like, yeah, that's worth about $20. Control here was about $30. That seems like a fair price to me. $50, $60 for one game. It's too much. Oh, you got all of that for $10. I'm sorry, £10. That's really good. That's a pretty fantastic game. That's one of the things that bums me out about man, I know I keep talking about it. I am so psyched for the PlayStation, and the part I'm not ready for games that cost $70. I'm not ready for games that cost $80 a pop if you want a special edition. That's just so much. Now, granted, I am the man that will pay $80 for a Spider-Man game because I like me some Spider-Man. But I look at $70 for Demon Souls, and I'm like, I love Souls games. That might be too much.
Are they up to 70 now?
First party Sony games are $70. Yes. What was $59.99 has become $69.99, and special editions are going up.
I am glad that I don't buy into consoles anymore.
But guess what? Guess what?
Guess what? Nintendo's about to start doing it too.
Well, I don't know about Nintendo, but everybody's about to start doing it because that's the way the market. That's what happened with the 360 and PS3. That was the generation that they decided that it was going to be, that full price was going to be $59.99. And this is the generation where once one person does it, everybody's going to start doing it. I mean, that's that slippery slope. I mean, I love Nintendo, but Nintendo does it with their DLC stuff. It's like, Nintendo would not have dipped into DLC and microtransactions if the rest of the industry had not gravitated towards that and people got used to it. The second that people get used to paying for $70 to $80 video games, you're absolutely going to see that on the PC as well.
And I hate that you're right.
I hate that I'm right too, because I don't have that kind of money to spend on video games, man. I'm very excited for the fact that the PS5 can play PS4 games, because I didn't get to play Ghost of Tsushima, but I will now that it has a better frame rate. I did not get a chance. You know what I'm not excited for, though?
What?
I'm not excited for the fact that the PS5 does not have backwards compatibility for PS3, PS2, and PS1. Which is why I had to keep all those consoles and get that that splitter for the HDCP so we can play Metal Gear.
That's right.
And that took a lot of time, and that took a lot of effort to set up, and it's worth it because I love Metal Gear that much. But it's not worth it for me, it's not worth it for like most other games, I guess. Metal Gear is kind of a special...
Metal Gear is the exception to the rule, even I understand that.
Metal Gear, Pokemon, and Zelda are like the games that I would typically spend more money on because I just love them so much. Well, that and Cooking Simulator 2021. I would pay $99 for that. What's wrong? You've gone silent. You're not ready for this reality.
I can't say that I am.
I have no idea how to feel about Cooking Simulator because literally what happened earlier today was the base game was on sale on Switch for $1.99, and I, as somebody who was like curious about it, I was like, okay, $1.99, all right. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know that I feel good about this even. Because I remember specifically asking you to remind me that if I ever started talking about Cooking Simulator, that you needed to tell me that it wasn't worth it, and that I already did the research to find out that it wasn't worth it.
I do remember that.
And it's like a part of my brain is like, but I love cooking though. I love cooking. I want to cook in the video game.
I want to check out this here jukebox. What's the matter? You've gone silent. You don't like jukeboxes?
I love jukeboxes. For a while, I actually owned a small jukebox.
A small one, though.
Yeah, it was a relatively tiny, like, pack-in jukebox. There's like a USB thing.
Okay, you had a jukebox, but did you have a jive box?
I did not have a jive box. If I could have a jukebox and a jive box, I would just buy like a boxing ring. If I had the money, I would absolutely buy a boxing ring right now. I'm getting hyped. I'm getting real hyped over the idea of getting a boxing ring in my house that I can't fit in here. I don't have the money for it. I don't have the space for it, but the idea makes me so happy.
Oh, damn, this is interesting.
I do have a record player, Bad Cat. I have one right over here. I used to have a larger one when I was at my old place, but now it's one of those like fold in like suitcase carry ones. When I get my own place like up and running again, I would love to get like a proper sound system, you know, like massive record player with stereo sides. Yeah, I'm very big into physical media. I love my vinyls. I can't ever really play them unless I've got like a party going on, or like maybe like a date night or something where we actually have the opportunity to sit down and listen to music. But it's a really nice thing to have. I mean, so this is, you know, kind of apropos of nothing, but one of my favorite artists in general, possibly my favorite artist, is either it flips between Billy Idol and The Sounds. Billy Idol, I didn't get a chance to listen to him on vinyl for probably like the first 12 years of my life or something. And the second that I actually got to listen to him on a proper record, I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. Something about the quality of Billy's voice just translates really well to that warmer, kind of scratchier sound. It's like listening to a completely different thing. And this was after I had gotten so used to the digital sound of just the remasters and everything. Florence and the Machine, also, I'm big on them. They sound great on vinyl. They also sound good digitally, but something about her voice translates really, really well. And certain bands don't. I have a couple of albums of I've got The Queen is Dead from the Smiths, and that one sounds great, but it doesn't really sound noticeably different to me on digital or on analog. I kind of like it both ways. But man, I go down this rabbit hole every time. Like, what do I want to see? Like, what could I test to see if it sounds as good as it possibly could? And you never know what you get. Sometimes you find a band or an album that you really, really love digitally and they don't sound too great. Sometimes you find something that sounds incredible on analog and you're like, well, this doesn't translate to an MP3 player, so kind of screwed in that way. It's a big rabbit hole. It's the same thing as like when I got my guitar, I was warned for many years as to like, hey, be really careful because once you get a guitar, you're gonna want to get multiple, and you're gonna want to keep buying guitars. You're gonna eventually get to the point where you have like 8, and I understand that totally. I understand that dangerous mindset of like, I could get this sound, or I could get all of these different sounds. It's a messy rabbit hole. I would recommend being wary. And the lighting in this area is just astounding.
just a very pretty game.
There are only so many times that I can say that, and every time I say it, I feel the need to, because it is just so nice to look at. Oh my god. And this is me, like, through the bitrate and through the artifacting, like, it still looks excellent. Between this and Yakuza, like, we have been looking at some pretty games. I'm happy that we can.
I'll say.
I'm happy that games have gotten to the point. Like, okay, so I am a big fan of the way the Control looks, not necessarily because of its graphical fidelity. Like, yes, it definitely has that, and it looks great on a technical level, but on an artistic level, just the color palette and how it gets utilized and the way that they mess around with lighting and the distortion effects, just, oh my god, I am such a fan.
Like, none of it would look as good without the artistic vision.
And it's relatively simple. Like, if you were to take away the color palette and even keep the lighting, this area would look alright. But it's the sharpness and the range of the colors that I'm just like, oh my god, that sharp red on blue and like the deep HDR black going on. It's so nice. And then you've got the stars in the background, like as if it wasn't enough, right?
You've got like the blue saturation and everything. And there's fucking lore tucked away in here.
Of course there would be. It's a good thing you went looking for it.
I went looking for something. Had no idea what I'd find.
Speaking of having no idea what you're looking for, finding something, I'm staring at a statue here of Vicious and Spike in front of the stained glass window with the katana and the gun out at each other's throats.
Yeah.
But they're both Funko Pops.
Oh, damn it.
I know, right? It's like so close and yet so far.
Like that fucking monkey paw bullshit.
They've also got this one of Ed and Ein. But Ed has this like nightmarish smile on her face, and I'm really disturbed by it. Ed does not translate to this style well at all. You know the big like rounded bean smiley face that they have whenever
I know the one.
It's that, but on her face.
Mm.
With like the big Funko black eyes.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds like, nightmarish.
It's really creepy, and I'm like, how did this happen? Who let this happen? Who is responsible for this? Oh, you know what though? Talking about vinyl, there is a vinyl copy here of the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack.
Very good. That's all I have to say is very good.
Damn! I shouldn't have scrolled down because I scrolled down and there's also FLCL vinyl, which this is a dangerous rabbit hole to go down because
I'll fucking say so.
I imagine that
Squad Captain Lopez,
listening to like Don't Bother None on a vinyl player would be really something.
No distinction
special.
From the previous visit. The link detectors are still standing. One arch has a light flashing.
I'm glad that we live in a place and a time where there are like no less than 6 different full completed Blu-ray copies of Cowboy Bebop. I still have a boxed copy, but mine is all DVD 4:3 aspect ratio, and I honestly I wouldn't change it for the world. I love that collection so much. FLCL, I might get that on Blu-ray if I ever get the chance. Because that's newer and was made for a larger aspect ratio than Cowboy Bebop was. It's like they actually came out with an HD like touch-up of Buffy the Vampire Slayer for improved aspect ratio and higher resolution and everything, and it looks terrible because that show was specifically made with 4x3 in mind until like the 5th season. So by stretching out the aspect ratio and including stuff that was not originally in the shot, you screw up the shot composition. You also get things like boom mics coming in, and like straight up boom mics.
That's bad.
And it's like, oh man, this is absolutely not how this was meant to be. And it's a bit like Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favorite television series, and I will fully admit that its production is not perfect. Like, there are absolutely moments in Buffy where you can see boom mics. You can see like a stagehand grab somebody from off frame and like grab their belt or whatever so that they don't fall in a pit as part of a stunt. And it's like, it's not perfect, but you know, that's the reality of making TV, especially back then, is that it's not all perfect. But to already have those issues and then to not crop the aspect ratio on top of the footage actually looking like that is just, oh my god.
It comes off as very sloppy.
It comes off as... So this is... How should I put this? You know how some people have seen like television running at 60 frames per second and said, this looks like a soap opera?
Uh-huh.
I would co-opt that and say soap operas have been irrelevant for long enough that when you touch up these shows and you make them 60 frames per second and you can see like the stage and screen makeup on people's faces, in addition to like the improved depth of the actual picture, what you instead get is no longer soap opera. Instead, it looks like porn. Because porn has been that for so long that I think the cultural landscape has maybe shifted from 60 frames per second looking like soap opera to looking like Pornhub.
Now there's something for the modern era.
And I think that's real special. And I think that's hilarious.
It's real something.
It's really something. It's nothing to be ashamed about, but it's something to think about for sure. Oh man. It's I watch a lot of older television.
I thought you were gonna say I watch a lot of porno.
I watch a lot of pornography. I run a pornography store in my daytime, and in the nighttime I moonlight as a pornographer. No, I watch a lot of older TV, and a lot of stuff that was either filmed in 4x3 or like filmed with grainier cameras, right? And noisier picture. And to me, like, movies are still generally shot at 24 frames per second, and when you try to go above that, you make people sick in the theaters because they're not used to it, like The Hobbit, especially on a large IMAX screen. Oh man, I got stuff to say about that. But I have a similar thing with television, is like, for so long, television was like relatively flat lighting, kind of grainy picture, but everything boxed in and shot more or less like you were filming a stage show, right?
Right.
Like you go back and you watch Taxi, or you go back and you watch Perfect Strangers, or anything like, or Cheers is probably a better example even. And yeah, like TV will always kind of look like that to me. 60 frames per second looks really weird on syndicated television. It doesn't look so bad in animation because animation is kind of its own beast. But I get the same feeling from that I get whenever I see a movie running at like 48 frames a second. And I'm like, ooh, what is going on here? Are you aware of how that whole situation turned out with The Hobbit?
No, and like...
So Peter Jackson being... Let's not mince words, being a visionary in the medium that he is. He likes to push boundaries, and he likes to experiment with new things. And the technical aspect of making film happen, much in the same way that like a James Cameron. When it came time to do the Hobbit movie, they initially ran those at 48 frames per second in the theater, twice the standard definition, twice the standard FPS for a film, in addition to having it run on giant IMAX screen, and in addition to having it run in 3D. Now, 3D in IMAX is one of those things that people have famously been like, hey, the depth in the picture makes me sick. I can't handle watching all this, right?
Right.
The larger picture on IMAX combined with the 48 frames a second was making people like violently ill all over the place, and those movies were getting so, I guess now we call it review vomit, but like massively negative reception across the board. And it was being defended as like, no, it's a stylistic choice. You know, we're pushing the medium forward. If we can make the technology better, if we can have more frames per second and a larger picture to make a big, like, Hollywood experience, that's what we should do, right? Only that's not what was happening because everybody was getting sick and complaining.
You tried to do it and you didn't do it, is the thing.
But here's the bigger problem, too, is in combination with those three elements, the CG in those movies are not up to par with, like, the CG in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. In a lot of cases, it's a little over CGified and a little bit too actiony, and just a little too, like, rubbery and fake, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
So, and a lot of that is because it was a very troubled, very rushed development for those movies. Lindsay Ellis has a great series on how that came to be, and I'm sure other people have done plenty of work into talking about being what they are. But oh my god, watching those movies in the theater, which I did, was just an experience that I look back on and I can't keep the smile off of it. And it's a smile entirely of like Schadenfreude, you know?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude, yeah. And it's like, it's such a painful memory. Because, okay, I put that up there with the time that I went to go see, I have a lot of these The time that I went to see Toy Story 2 as a kid, and we got in late, so we sat in the front row at the very edge of the left side of the theater.
Right.
And I remember getting very, very sick, especially as a small child, right? Like, it would be different now, you and me having that experience as larger human beings, as taller people. But as a child, having that, it's like, holy shit, what a nightmare. Not unlike the similar experience that I had watching Happy Feet, in which I threw up in the theater, passed out, woke up, and felt like I was having a fever dream that I was not waking up from. Now, I don't know if Happy Feet was a bad enough movie to warrant that reaction, but that's the reaction that I had to watching Happy Feet. I also fell asleep during Green Lantern. That movie was not good. Or no, I'm sorry, I didn't fall asleep. Elliot fell asleep during Green Lantern. I did not fall asleep because I was pretty sure somebody would steal from us if we both. So instead, I had to watch all of Green Lantern. Your stunned silence tells me everything I need to know.
Oh no.
Yeah, now you're this is definitely getting more like the content for the fights with like the recharging the big recharging overshield and everything. But I mean, you're managing it.
Somehow.
For as much as they ramp up the difficulty in actual encounters in this game, they do a good job of also ramping up the tools in which you need to deal with them.
It doesn't feel like they give you enough skill points, though.
Maybe not. I couldn't say for sure. I mean, I'm also the kind of person that likes to run through these games and upgrade as little as possible. I usually like to try and see if I can make it with, like, the base amount of content, and usually that turns into a nightmare. But when a game lets you do it, that's how you know that you've got something really good on your hand.
I, for one, just like to be the perfect life form, which I am not doing right now. I like to be as strong as I possibly can.
I appreciate that. I personally like to be... I like to be the underdog in these situations. I like games that make it clear... Ooh, nice save. I just started to do the dash. I like running into these games with maybe suboptimal options for how to deal with things. And making it work with like the bare essentials. I usually find that like it constructs a narrative in my head that I like a lot, and it also lets me like really get into like the nitty gritty of how the combat works. You know what I mean?
I just kind of end up doing that anyway, because I am like a crazy person.
I suppose so.
And like, I do all this shit, and I'm doing all the math in my head.
Yeah, no, I can accept that. I like simplicity in most things if I can come across it. And if I can get like substantially more difficult gameplay, but also like straightforward simplicity, usually that's my favorite kind of like. That's probably why I like the Souls games as much as I do. Is like, you can go deep into those games if you want to, or you can just get really good at rolling and timing. And Alan Wake, like fits that bill really, really well for me too. It's like you don't have a whole lot of options, but you have exactly as much as you want to do. You kind of make your own challenge, I guess.
I'm kind of the opposite way. I need complexity or else I start to get bored.
I can understand that too. There are definitely some games that I like that are complex. I mean, I really like XCOM, and that game gives me headaches. But I think, you know, Pokemon is probably... I don't know if it's my all-time favorite, but it's up there as in terms of like my favorite style of game. And it is as simple and straightforward an RPG as you can really get. I really like the simplicity and the straightforwardness, I guess, the modular nature of JRPG turn-based combat. I really like being dumb and having square peg, square hole. I think if you can make your game fun without making it complex, that means that you've got a really, really solid basic system on your hand. And that speaks to a really, a well-designed game.
I mean, I suppose it's doing a lot with a little. But at the same time, just because something is complicated doesn't mean it's bad.
No. I think there's equal opportunity here to say, like, if you have an extremely complex game and you're managing all these systems and you're juggling them really well, then that's also excellent game design, because, like, balancing all of that is not simple or easy. And I can definitely... that and, like, the ability to customize your playthrough is so super important. And I can definitely get behind that. There's definitely... it's definitely a matter of taste on both sides, I would say. I think for me, I just have... I've had too many years and too many experiences with games that, like, inflate their budget super high and make it as complicated as possible because they're afraid that, like, Joe Average will get, like, not you, but, like, Joe Average will get bored. And so they fill it with all these systems and all these RPG light mechanics and all this open world stuff, and it's like, look at all these systems that we have going on. And usually it's not balanced very well, and it's done poorly. The actual gameplay loop suffers as a result of all of the extraneous stuff that they've bolted onto it. And then I look at, like, a Zelda game, and Zelda's like, you swing the sword and you use your items to do Metroidvania stuff. And that's kind of, you collect the 3 things and then maybe collect the 4 to 8 things later, and then you beat the bosses. And those games are, like, excellent 9 out of 10 times. Maybe I need to play, like... maybe I need more experience with games that do complexity better. I think I feel like I've seen so many years of games do complexity badly that I really come to appreciate simplicity. Max Payne is a very simple game that is very difficult at times because of just how finely tuned the gameplay is. I think it strikes a really, really good balance. And I like the way that Control does it too, because, like, you absolutely have the ability to customize your playthrough, and there is no reason why 2 playthroughs of this game should or would be the same. But at the same time, it's not overly complicated. You have options, but...
There are options, but they are not all stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah. they were all very well considered. Somebody thought about how all of this worked. Somebody cared, I guess, is the difference. Because you look at like an Assassin's Creed and you're like, nobody cared.
Mm-hmm.
Almost any Ubisoft game, they poured in all of the extra details and all of the extra systems, and they didn't care. It was probably done to fill check marks and to make the game have like, oh no, people getting upset. I'm talking shit about Assassin's Creed. Oh well, go. Bye. It's making the game bigger than it needs to be for no reason. Like, does an Assassin's Creed game need to be 80 hours long? No. Does Control need to be 14 hours long? Yeah, probably.
Speaking of things being too long, I ran out the timer.
Yeah,
on that mission.
A little bit.
Little bit, a lot of bit, all of it.
We're also
Speaking of running over the timer.
Yeah, we're a bit overways.
So what say we call it here?
I'd be okay with that. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we leave off?
No.
Fair enough. I'll say this. For anybody who did join or will watch later on, thank you. It's always appreciated. Control is very good. Alan Wake is really good. I am very excited to finish Alan Wake and to continue Control, because I really think you're gonna like where the latter half of this game goes.
I think so too.
And while the final chapter of Alan Wake isn't like all that special, the DLC for that game is short, concise, and really neat. Like they have a lot of fun with it. And I'm excited to get into that because it's done quickly and it's just so, like, you can tell that Remedy had so much fun making it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So look forward to all that and look forward to more Yakuza coming up.
All that and more.
All that and more. Guess that'll pretty much call it. Good night, everybody.
See you next time.